Joining us this afternoon is Tilden Hooper. He is a Carthage native, the 12th ranked bareback rider in the world. What's up, Tilden? How are you doing today?
Oh man, doing great. Just out running some errands, trying to get ready to be going for the summer.
Yeah, well, I see you got some errands in there. I see you got a kid behind you there that's making some faces for us. So you want to tell us who's riding
Yeah,
with
that's my
you?
main man right there. That's Phil. Can you say hi, bud?
That's awesome. Well, Tilden, I want to talk about what you accomplished this past weekend at a couple of rodeos. Let's talk about the first one I want to talk to you about is the Livermore Rodeo out in Livermore, California. You rode an 86 on a horse named Mary to win first place and win $3,300. Tell me a little bit about that ride over there in California.
Yeah. So that horse Mary, she's been around for quite a while. I got on her in 2018 at the National Finals Rodeo, won second round on her, and she's been good for a long time. She's as they do when they get older, they get a little bit trickier, and she's not real big, and so I don't know. She was that was one of my favorite rides I've ever made. I don't know what I haven't even seen a video of it, but I just the way it was all going down. She was moving around a lot, circling tight. It just never felt like it was. I was sat down and everything was for sure. It was a fight the whole time. And you just sometimes you get off and you don't really care what the score is going to be. You're pretty proud of what you did, and that's kind of how it was the other day. I was thankful the score was high, and I was thankful to win first. I've been to that rodeo a lot of times over the years. I haven't been in probably 6 or 7 years, and I've won second at that rodeo 2 or 3 times, and never was able to win it until the other day, and so that was cool. It's funny that rodeo. I heard them announce whenever they were doing the opening that it was the 107th year that they've had that rodeo, and anytime you get to ride somewhere where they've been doing it for 100 years and walk away the champion, that's a pretty special day for me.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. That's pretty awesome, man. But that's so regardless of what the score was or where you would have finished, you would have felt good about that ride on Mary at that rodeo.
Yeah, absolutely. It just was something that I was having to hustle the whole time. She just wasn't real easy. It wasn't the hardest horse I've ever been on, but she was really tricky, and just to be able to keep making the ride that I was making, I was pretty proud of that.
Well, let's talk about the other rodeo that you won over in Weatherford at the Parker County Sheriff's Posse Frontier Days and PRCA Rodeo. First off, is that the longest name for a rodeo that you've been to?
Yeah, it's a pretty long one, right? I did a deal on the Cowboy Channel yesterday, and the girls that were interviewing me got kind of tongue tied, and we all decided that's about as long of a handle as we've heard on one before.
Yeah, that one's a tough one. So I'm just going to call it the Parker County Rodeo over in Weatherford. So you rode a horse, Foxhole Gunner, and scored an 87.5 on that one to win first place there. So you told me a little bit about your ride on Mary in California. Tell me about that ride over at Foxhole Gunner.
So yeah, that was a horse I knew that was a dang sure good chance to win first. They took that horse to the national finals. I knew that wasn't going to be a real easy ride. I was talking about the ride in California, and the horse was kind of small, and that makes it a little tricky in a way. But then when they get real big like that one over there in Weatherford, that makes it tricky in a different way. And all three of the horses I got on this weekend had some moves, and that the great horse there in Weatherford was no different. I think what made him the trickiest was like when the chute opened, he just stood there for a second and didn't leave right away. And so he's just kind of standing over on his right leg. And so it has everything. When you're sitting on him, you're sitting on your right leg too. And then he shoots out to the left and had some moves back and forth. So my start wasn't perfect, right? Like I got him marked out, and then my right leg kind of ended up on top of his neck, and so it took me a jump to get squared away and get set back down. But when I did, I felt like I finished really strong. And at the end of the day, when you're on those harder horses like that, sometimes sometimes the judges can't tell the difference as to whether or not they're easy or hard or whatever, and so they might dock you a lot thinking it could have been easy and you just made a mistake. And when they're harder like that, sometimes stuff like that's going to happen. And luckily the judges saw that and they didn't dock my score a whole lot, and I was able to end up winning first. It's funny, perspectives, everything, because I got off there in Weatherford and was, I knew that I'd won the fight, but I knew that I'd messed up a jump, and I didn't really know what the judges might do and it wasn't the hardest ride I've ever had, and end of the day, I was really happy with how it went. But then whenever I got to California, all the other bareback riders were just like, "Man, that was so ranked. That was awesome. That horse was bucking so hard." And it just, I wasn't as proud of that as I was in California. But to hear everybody else say it, it sounded like everybody thought that horse was a lot ranker than what it felt. And so I must have been doing something right.
Well, that's got to be kind of a cool feeling too when your peers at another rodeo are like, "Yeah, man, that was a pretty wild ride," and you're like, "Yeah, I thought it was all right." But when your peers are over there and like, "Dude, you killed that one," that's got to make you feel good though.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because when you get off of a bareback horse, you're waiting to hear the judges call out your score, and those guys do a good job, and they're all of them are really good guys, and I would never want their job. But sometimes they mess up, sometimes they don't. But when you look up on the back of the chutes and those guys that do exactly what you do, and the guys that are the very best in the world at doing it are clapping for you, that's the kind of approval, and the that's more what you're looking for. If you can impress those guys, you usually did something pretty impressive.
Well, I know you're running some errands right now, so what do you got going down the road for you? What's up next on the schedule?
Man, it's pretty well full throttle from here on out. I generally don't get started real busy until the end of this month, starting at Reno, Nevada here in a couple weeks. But they've moved some rodeos around, and so and it's going to make it better later in the year, but it's making it more busy right now. And so my busy summertime run is going to start probably, I guess, on Thursday. And so I'll head out, go to Granite Falls, Minnesota, fly back to Elko, Nevada, go back to Reno, and it's just it's just going to be, like I said, full throttle for about a month there. I'll do a rodeo just dang near every other day until about the 5th of July. I'll have a few days off, come home and gather up all my wife and kids, and we're going to drive up and go do the Calgary Stampede and just rodeo through the month of July with my family. So I'm
Man, well, that sounds like it sounds like you got a busy schedule ahead of you, and it sounds like you're going to be racking up some miles across the countryside. But we're proud of you here in East Texas. Congratulations on winning the rodeos you did this past weekend. Stay safe out there, and we'll hopefully talk to you down the road.
Okay, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Good visiting with y'all.
All right, thank you, Tilden.